Is driving a cheap Chinese SUV a terrible idea when you're heading out to remote Australia? And not just remote Australia, but some of the worst Australian conditions. Well, that's what I'm gonna answer in today's video. We are here with the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. We've made a few videos on this now, and as you guys know, I have been a huge proponent of these cheaper cars coming to Australia. I'm very happy with cheaper cars as long as they're good. This thing here starts at $36,990, and this from behind me is the ultimate all-wheel drive. That'll set you back just $45,990 drive away, and it comes with a lot. But I would be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little bit worried myself. I'm about to make the journey from Melbourne to Hamilton to go and see my fiance who works out there, and that's about a 4-hour drive west of Melbourne, and it's through some pretty terrible terrain. It's a very hot day today, about 36 degrees, but tomorrow it's apparently going to be thunderstorming, and I have to leave at 4 a.m. So some of the worst conditions to drive any car out in, let alone something that, well, people are worried about. Before I continue, let's see if it'll play the dubstep for us. Oh, that's disappointing. Welcome to you too, baby. Whew, gotta turn the car on before I melt to death here. Now, as you guys know, we are fully transparent here at CarSauce, and yes, this video is sponsored by Chery, but only so far as we need to show the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro on our channel. That's it. I don't have to say good things about it. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, because there are some things about the car that I still don't love to this day, but I have said on record that I do really like it overall. But will the experience just be terrible driving out in rural Victoria, where a few things are really important? One, reliability. 2, safety, which hopefully we don't have to test that out. I don't want to be a crash dummy. 3, the driver assistance, the driver aids. That's where I'm assuming I might have some issues, but again, we'll find out. I'm also going to use the inbuilt Turbo Dog navigation. What a fantastic name. There's a bit of sarcasm there. I think it got lost in translation somewhere, but is that any good? How does it perform over kilometers of completely unsealed and terrible roads where a lot of cars are prone to damage, prone to breaking down, prone to losing a tire? These are some pretty terrible conditions. And then of course, we're going to drive it back really early in the morning, which is another really dangerous part of driving in rural Australia at all. Not to mention the forecast right now is saying that it is going to be thunderstorming on that drive. So it's going to be a lot of work for any car. And so like you, I'm really curious about how this car will go, how any cheap Chinese SUV will go out in some of these places that we've kind of been told they won't do very well, or at least that's the feeling. What's it actually like? Well, this is going to be an honest assessment of that. And as I said, we're just here to show the car. The car could be great, it could be terrible, but as long as it's got airtime on our channel, that's all they want. So, good guy Chery, we're gonna have to talk about what we actually think. But anyway, enough rambling. Let's start the drive and get to our destination, because it's already midday and it's really hot. Not that that makes a difference, but I'm struggling with that. Alrighty guys, so we're on the highway at the moment, and look, I have a bit of a double-edged sword here. So this thing scored a 5-star ANCAP safety rating, which might not sound that amazing, but if you know ANCAP's testing protocols at the moment, you would know they're extremely difficult, to the point where very soon every car is gonna have to come with this. This is a safety hammer for whacking out the windows if you get submerged under the water. That's insane. So yes, it's pretty amazing that this car was able to get a 5-star ANCAP safety rating. But unfortunately, that does mean it's got some, I guess, relatively annoying systems that a lot of cars come with now. And that is really only one, the driver monitoring system. It keeps going off at me and says I've been distracted for a long time. It's just not very well calibrated. But Chery are not alone. We've experienced a lot of cars with a very similar system, and yeah, that's really my biggest complaint so far. Otherwise, it's really awesome. The car is literally like driving itself. Oh God! So the car right now is like literally driving itself, navigating itself down the highway. Obviously, you've got to keep your hands on it all the time, but I could take my hands off and it will still steer itself within the lane, and it does a really good job. So that has definitely been updated since I last drove the Chery Tiggo 7. Before it was a little bit intrusive, but now it's just like like it's perfect. It's keeping me a safe distance from the car in front of me as well. And it just makes highway driving so much nicer. The other thing is, every time I get back in this cabin, I'm so impressed. Everything feels nice. It feels very premium in here. And so really the only limiting factor is just that stupid driver monitoring system, which is unfortunately a requirement of ANCAP. So again, the fact that this couldn't score a 5-star when a competitor like the Hyundai Kona can only get a 4-star, well, says a lot about Chery, doesn't it? But for now, I'm going to turn off the driver monitoring system because it's starting to kind of peeve me. Oh, I need to get off. Oh, please let me in, please let me in. Oh no, oh no! I'm gonna break my gimbal if I'm not careful. Okay, I gotta get back to driving now. Speak soon. Alrighty guys, so we're about an hour and a bit into this drive. I can really feel the heat radiating in. Thankfully though, this aircon does work very well. So I'm very grateful for that right now. And really quickly, I want to talk to you about the engine of this thing and how it's performing. So we're sitting at 116 kilometers an hour right now, but thankfully, the RPM is really low. So this is a 7-speed dual clutch. It's just able to keep the engine at a lower RPM in its 7th gear. So the final drive ratio is just nice and long, and yeah, you don't have to worry about any loud noise. The road noise in here is not nothing, it's not insubstantial, but it is relatively quiet. Thankfully though, all of that sound can be drowned out by this weirdly awesome Sony sound system. Generally speaking, Chinese cars historically have had the worst sound systems ever, and I'm a bit of an audio head, so when I hear a bad audio system, I hate it. But this has been really good. Without getting myself banned off of YouTube, I'm gonna play some non-copyright music right now and just take a listen to this. Oh, this is loud.
A few moments later.
I'm not gonna lie to you guys. The sound system in here is really good. It's time to talk to you about reliability. It's time to talk to you about reliability. I'm gonna tell you all about it. I'm gonna tell you all about reliability. Would you like to learn more about this little engine? Would you like to learn more about this little engine? Would you like to learn more about this little engine? It's time to learn. Alrighty guys, I've spent days now learning more about the engine in this, and it's actually pretty fascinating. So first of all, this is awesome. I love this. You get gas struts. How often do you see that anymore? So this 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol engine is actually the 3rd generation from the manufacturer Acteco, which is a subsidiary of Chery. And they produce about 1.5 million engines a year and develop a lot for the export market as well. Like I said, this engine came out in 2018. However, this engine wasn't just developed by Acteco, it was also developed by a company called AVL, which is an Austrian privately funded engineering company. And so as a result, you actually have some really cool stuff with this. So first of all, it's all aluminium. That means it's really lightweight. In fact, it weighs just 136 kilograms. And when you combine that with the fact that this whole car only weighs 1.5 tons, that's actually very impressive. I was pretty shocked to find this out. So that turbo right there, it's actually built by Borg Warner, which if you know anything about turbochargers, that's really impressive. The engine too actually puts out a lot of power and torque considering its size. 137 kilowatt of power, 275 newton meters of torque. That is actually quite impressive for such a small displacement engine. And then brace yourself, in terms of reliability, well, there is no issues. Like I said, I've spent days researching this engine. I've been on forums in all parts of the world, and no one really says a bad thing about this. In fact, I can't find any major issues that come with this engine. Of course, every engine could have issues. In fact, everything that's manufactured could have issues, but nothing major, which is actually very impressive. But anyway, let's get back on the road. Alrighty guys, all that talk of reliability of the engine, it's made me a little hungry. So I have it on good authority that there are some good pies to be had in Ballarat on the way to Hamilton. So let's go into our Navi. Oh, we're connected to 24 satellites apparently. It's actually pretty good. That's the one thing I do love about navigation. Even when you're out here where I literally have 0 reception right now, I can still put in coordinates and get to where I need to go because I'm terrible that way. I'm such a Gen Zer. There you go. Ah, there we go, Ballarat Central. Oh, Let's go, baby. I feel like a little boy. If you guys are Australian, you know what I mean. Go into the comment section below. Let me know what you think about the Aussie meat pie. All right? Is it worth getting? The answer is always yes. You know, even though I like to think that social anxiety is scared of me, I'm scared of social anxiety, so I'm gonna... This is the hidden pie cam. You're the hidden pie cam, okay? Let's get a pie. I would love a pie. Honestly, guys, I surprised myself with how anxious I just got just then. That's so dumb. Anyway, I'm gonna eat a pasty because they ran out of pies. Oh well, a pasty will do. A pasty will do. Who said Australia doesn't have culture? So they ran out of pies. I got a pasty instead. It was delicious. $5, filled me up. You know, they say Australia is too young to have like a national dish, but if it's not a pie, pasty or sausage roll, then fine, I agree with you. But those three, it's delicious. Oh, it's really hot. Oh, get that nice aircon on me. Alrighty, let's continue our trip to Hamilton. We still have 2 hours to go. It's a long drive, but halfway there. I actually really love driving through Ballarat. For those who don't know, Ballarat is one of Australia's like oldest towns, I guess you could call it. It was pretty much a city back in the day, one of the oldest, because the gold rush in the mid 19th century happened here, and obviously surrounding suburbs, but this was like the hub. And so you got just the most majestic, beautiful buildings. A lot of money was spent here, and look, it's not quite what it was, but it's still absolutely fantastic. And if you're a bit of a history freak like me, you'd love coming here. But that's too historic for this channel. Let's keep driving. Okay, so we're really out here in the country now. We are far out, and I love it. It's just the most beautiful scenery. But I've just been thinking about the suspension on this. I know, weird thing to think about. It is definitely on the softer side, and that's what we said in our full review. So, you know, I'm dynamically cornering here. It's a long sweeping turn, going about 115 kilometers an hour. But it is just so comfortable, like really comfortable in this thing. Like I said, you know, if we put the car into, normal mode, sport mode, put your foot down, there is definitely body roll. The steering becomes very heavy. But if I'm being totally honest, that's exactly what I want on a long journey like this. I just want nice, soft dampers. That's all I want. And when you combine it, like I said, with this autonomous driving stuff, like, it's unreal. Despite having driven now for 2.5 hours, I don't feel exhausted. I don't feel tired. Like seriously, I have to put in so little effort. This is a nice little corner, putting in so little effort. In terms of fuel economy, unfortunately, this camera is having a tough time reading this screen. It looks fine to me though. 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. Considering that I am sitting at over 110 kilometers an hour, that's actually very good. 80 to 90 kilometers an hour is really where these engines thrive. So to see 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, despite going really quite fast, is fantastic for a family SUV out here. We're on right now one of my least favorite roads. This is Course Chip out here in the country. It's just, I don't know, potholed, it's loud, it's noisy, but in this car, it just doesn't feel annoying. It doesn't feel cumbersome, it doesn't feel laborious, which for a cheap family SUV, I am really impressed. Also, shout out to this aircon. It's doing a great job. This is weird though, only the seat base is cooled. So yes, you have cooled seats, but it's only the base, which is not what I want. I want it for my back. So I don't know, Chery, if you're listening, which I know you are, add that in. That would be awesome. But otherwise, I'm happy, I'm comfy. These seats, I thought they would be a lot worse over a longer journey. So far, it's fine, but we still have another hour and a half to go. So I'll update you a bit later. For now, I'm gonna go back to listening to my non-copyrighted music. Love it. Alrighty guys, so we've been driving now on some pretty terrible unsealed roads, lots of red dirt, red dust. If you know Australia, you know that some of the worst, it just gets everywhere in a car. But anyway, It's also very slippery, generally speaking. You can hear that there's a lot going on, a lot of vibrations. Because we're in the all-wheel drive, we're totally fine. I'm not having any issues at all. Even when traveling at relatively high speeds, I don't want to go too fast just in case. Because this is an on-demand all-wheel drive, it'll actually send power to the rear wheels. And something that I've actually been doing as well, as we come onto some nice sealed roads just for a little bit before it goes back. I've been driving this car, as you can see here, in off-road mode. And what that does is just modulate traction control a bit better. It keeps power going to the back wheels as well. And as a result, it just means that it's a lot more confident to drive on roads like this. And actually, I want to show you something because this is really important. Check this out. What you get as part of this ultimate trim are these Cooper tires, which you can see have a decent amount of tread to them. Now, I'm not at all saying that this is a off-roader by any stretch, but it is very good being on these roads. I haven't actually had much of an issue, and I've got about an hour driving on roads pretty much like this to get to where I'm going. I actually technically don't have to drive on these roads, but I do want to test it out because I just want to see if they're terrible out here. And so far, I've got to be honest with you, it's done as well as anything else with all-wheel drive. And this is really the situation where I would say all-wheel drive is important. It's when you're out here in the country or you're going to be coming across roads like this. A front-wheel drive will always be a bit more skittish, but this is just a lot more sure-footed, simply because you do have power going from the front all the way to these rear wheels here. And by the way, how good does this car look? I've always really liked the looks of the Tiggo 7. Got the light bar, and that's like standard across the range. So whether you buy it for $36,990 or this top of the range for $45,990, you're getting a very good looking car, I think anyway. Okay, it's very Australian, isn't it? It flies everywhere. 40 minutes to go, and I'll update you when I get there. Alrighty guys, 4 hours later and we've made it here to Hamilton. It is just so gorgeous here. This lake here is called Lake Hamilton and it's a famous lake here apparently. We're not done just yet because as I said, I have to leave in the morning at 4 a.m. But so far with this, it was really comfortable, really nice. The driver monitoring system is really annoying, but thankfully easy to turn off. And I'm trying to think of other complaints I have, and honestly, I can't really. Actually, I have one more complaint. I really like these seats. They are very comfortable. Even though there isn't any lumbar support, that didn't seem to be an issue. And I'm one of those fatties that gets a sore back. Oh my God. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm one of those fatties that gets a sore back pretty easily, but this wasn't that situation at all. But yes, my only other complaint is I wish it wasn't just the seat base that was cool. I also wish it was the back, which is odd. It's just an odd thing to do, Chery. But otherwise, awesome. Really, really had a good time in this, and I didn't expect to. You know, I was a bit worried that something bad might happen, but nothing bad has happened, so very good. Alrighty, I will see you in the morning, probably less cheery. Okay, good morning. I've got to be quiet because everyone's asleep, and it's 4 a.m. Oh, that'll never get old. Look how nice it is. It's so lit up like a Christmas tree. Oh. Nice. Alrighty guys, we are back on the road. It's now about 4:30 a.m. and we have 3 hours and 14 minutes until we're at our destination, our very secret little launch. So a couple of things I'm picking up from driving this thing at night here in the literal middle of nowhere, Australia. First of all, it's like a light show when you get into the car. The whole car lights up. It's actually quite wowing. I quite like it. I love the light bar at the rear, the puddle lamps, you've got door sill lights, and then the interior is just, it's like a Christmas tree. And of course you can customize it to whatever you want. But arguably more important is making sure that the road is lit up. So we have auto high beam, we flick that on, and you can see it's just made it nice and bright. And using the cameras up here, if it detects another car coming, it'll turn off the high beam, which is just such a nice feature to have out here in the country. But anyway, I will check in with you guys a bit later on where there's more happening, but I thought you might like to see what it's like in here at night. What do you think of cars like this at nighttime? By the way, you're probably like me and thinking, Matt, where's the thunderstorms? I don't know. Why can't meteorologists get this right? Is it that hard? It's 24 degrees outside at the moment, okay? 24 degrees outside. So it's prime conditions, I guess, for a thunderstorm at 4:30 in the morning. But seriously, bring on the thunderstorm. I want to see it. because I'm lacking the seeing right now. Anyway, that's my little rant. Alrighty guys, so we're about an hour and a half away from the Langham Hotel, which is where this launch is going from. And before we get into our final thoughts, I needed to talk about just how beautiful it is here. I'm in awe of the sunset in front of me right now. It is genuinely so beautiful. But having spent now about 8 hours driving this thing just in 24 hours, I want to give you guys my honest thoughts. So let's get into the final thoughts. Okay, so final thoughts on the Chery Tiggo 7 Pro. You can see she's a little bit dirty there. I won't lie to you guys, like at first I was a little hesitant to take this into the Outback because let's be honest, Chinese cars just don't have a great reputation here in Australia. But I think a lot of that is kind of undeserved, especially having spent some time with this. It's done really well. Yes, the driver monitoring system is a little annoying, but apart from that, I think it comes really well equipped. The all-wheel drive works very well out in the Outback. They had no grip issues despite being on some very loose surfaces. And starting at $36,990, or this one topping out in mid-40s, that's a really good price. But let me know what you guys think about the Chery Tiggo 7. How did it perform in your eyes on the road? And of course, if you are looking to buy one of these, head to carsauce.com/buy. We will be able to get you the absolute best price on a Chery Tiggo 7 Pro without the hassle and in stock now. Alrighty, ciao for now.